Well, department stores have a long tradition of splashing out on holiday window displays and big budget holiday ads, but that marketing strategy is being questioned as stores struggle to compete with online retailers. It's our subject for Friday's Money and Marketing. Joining us here in studio, John Yorke. He's the CEO of Rain 43. John, thanks as always. I mean, this is a great conversation to have. Every day we're talking about the challenges for department stores. So how is this impacting their marketing approach?
Well, I mean, first of all, the Christmas season, is about over $700 billion in the U.S. of retail of their sales, right? So it's such a significant time frame. Now, a lot of that, as we know, is shifted to online shopping and convenience and the ability to go there. But the one thing, if you live in the urban centers, you still know the downtown core is very busy. People work in the downtown core. People like to walk. People come out to restaurants. They go out and visit. So there still is a volume of people. So there's the question of these department stores in urban centers, even in more of their suburban centers. There's still a reason to go to the department store. One of the things this year is a big trend is coming back is the idea of these window displays that kind of have this retro feel, and they go back Hudson's Bay just down the street from here. Every time I drive past it, there's a lineup of people trying to get their photos. They're trying to get back interest. And what's interesting about that is we realize we're a social media Instagram world where now the department stores can get back to some sense of relevance with their brand and provide some kind of experience to their potential customers.
Because if they don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. Even here in the Greater Toronto area, there was this thing that was put together with Dr. Seuss, which was literally a place to go and do selfies, and they charge you to go and do it. So why not do it in the retail world? It almost feels, this is maybe a crazy thing to say, but because Beyond Meat had this big year, people started talking about being a flexitarian, right? Sometimes you want to eat meat, sometimes you don't. This week, I went into plenty of stores looking for holiday gifts, and I expected to have a good experience there, and it's equally possible that I'll be online shopping as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the question. I mean, I relate it very similar to Uber versus taxis. You kind of wish that the taxi companies would have been the ones to discover the idea of the Uber app, right? Because they had the infrastructure, they have the drivers, they have the knowledge, but it's the same way with retailers. You kind of wish that the retailers would have been the ones to create the online shopping experience because it's so interconnected. It is wonderful when you can go to a place like Hudson's Bay, see something that you like, and then still go buy it at Hudson's Bay, whether it's online or not. But I still think the majority of people, they've got their phones out, they see a price, they can just buy it online, get it shipped to where they want, they can get it wrapped, all of that other stuff. The convenience side of things is what's really sort of winning the way on the online stuff. But if you give people the experience, especially younger millennials, I think that they're going to have more loyalty to that brand and more likely to buy from that brand.
It's interesting you say all this because Hudson's Bay has been such a big story this year. And a lot of times when we talk about the value of the business, we talk about the real estate. Hey, you've got these big stores, you can turn them into condos or fitness centers or something else, and that will unlock value. But you're reminding us at the best locations, these are marketing tools.
Right.
So I guess that's something they have to navigate as well when they think about what real estate means to our company.
Right, and there's still that nostalgic side of things of this real estate, like the ability to be in people's minds and relevance. So relevancy is huge in marketing and branding because it's whether or not I trust your brand. Hudson's Bay has to have the largest amount of relevancy to historically Canada being the largest retailer in North America. I can't tell anybody if I show you what a Hudson's Bay blanket looks like, you instantly recognize it as a Hudson Bay blanket. Their branding is extremely strong. I do think that from a retail structure, the ability to be, the Hudson Bay Center or other areas in all of the cities across the country provides a great opportunity for them. I still don't know, again, how much it translates to sales. You've got to make that connection of, to win as a retailer, at the end of the day, you got to be able to pay your rent.
Yeah.
Rent in urban cores is very expensive.
Well,
so this is, a lot of people are desperately trying to make back what's probably soft years in retail, as we know, all in the next probably 7 days.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's the period to get into the black. So every holiday, you talk to us about the big trends in marketing, and a lot of people like to look at the John Lewis ads. Remind us about John Lewis. Right. And what theme they went with this year.
So John Lewis is a relatively, about 10 years ago, still a relatively small retail store in the UK. I mean, they're not as big as Sainsbury and some of the other, bigger retailers or Marks and Spencer's, but they've always captured people's hearts with these emotional 3-4 minute television commercials. They use songs from Elton John and Spandau Ballet. They've always been able to capture this idea. So this year, their idea was to actually create a little dragon story. It's a wonderful little story, but this is actually, I've got to say, I say this all the time. They broadcast this on prime time. People tune in at 8 o'clock on prime time on BBC One just to watch the launch of a 3-minute television commercial. So it's actually, they preempt their television just so people can watch a commercial. That's when marketing and branding works the most, is that people are connected to the content. So we got a clip of this year's Dragon ad.
I don't fight this feeling any longer. On the floor, come crashing through your door forever.
So it created Excalibur Edgar, who is a little dragon who unfortunately burns up the entire town constantly when he gets excited. So he's very excited, and every time he kind of burns things down. So you can imagine he burns down Christmas. And I believe that's Air Supply playing.
Yeah,
so
it is. I was even getting tingly watching that. Usually that happens at this point in the show because I've just been drinking coffee and haven't had any food. But you know what's interesting? Looks like a really compelling ad.
Right.
But if Hudson's Bay or a retailer that has a lot of issues that they have to deal with had spent a lot of money for a big splashy primetime ad, we'd probably be having a different conversation around whether that's the best use of your resources.
Well, again, it depends on what your intent is. John Lewis was, sort of a David versus Goliath in the UK, and they needed a way to get noticed. Hudson's Bay is probably a little bit less, but when you look at the marketplace of billions of dollars, the cost of that ad, as much as it seems like, is nothing compared to the amount of reach and talk that it gets both locally and globally. So there's a tremendous opportunity, but again, to everything, to me, looks like a nail to a hammer.
John, thanks very much, and happy holidays to you as well.
To you.
John Yorke, the CEO of Rain 43, joining